G'day, I'm Dean Parkinson, relatively recently retired from the 2nd Commando Regiment. As a young bloke growing up in North Queensland, used to go hunting for foxes, pigs and rabbits. Since retiring, but I hadn't picked up a weapon for about 7 years. This year I started deer hunting. So about a month ago I came out to Glenfiddich to meet Clark and Judy McGhie, just to start gaining some knowledge on how to hunt deer in Queensland. Since that time, I've noticed online that there's been a lot of talk about getting state forest hunting cleared in Queensland for normal hunters. And I've seen the back and forth comments going on there about people's differing opinions on how that should happen up here. So I thought the best way to come, to get out and get an informed opinion on how we can do it properly, I thought I'd come and talk to Clark again and see what his plan is for sustainable deer hunting in Queensland, in state forests and on private property. I believe it's got to be done safely, in a humane way, and a sustainable manner. So let's go and have a chat and see what Clark and Judy got to say.
Right, come and have a coffee.
Hey Jude.
Hey Dean, how you doing?
Good to see you.
Yeah, you too. Long time.
Yeah.
I made you chocolate cake.
Beautiful, gorgeous, good on you. Little one. Spice going for a cuppa.
Sure is.
Beautiful. Clark, it's good to be back out here, mate. It's been a little while, about a month since I've been back up, and the first thing I noticed is how bloody dry it is at the moment.
Yeah, it's severe.
Yeah.
Severe. Tough time for landowners and a tough time for the deer.
Yeah, it must be, in need of rain like it is at the moment. It makes it extremely hard on everyone.
Yeah.
So I suppose the thing that I wanted to come out and talk to you about firstly was, my main objective is to, be able to hunt deer and do it the right way. Being a new hunter to deer, I've been looking at it and, like everything I do, I get into the books, I watch the videos, that sort of stuff. And I came out and met you a month ago, which was awesome. We had a really good chat and it was a good weekend. So I thought I'd come back out, one, just to start the ball rolling with my knowledge and my knowledge expansion of deer hunting. And the other thing was, and we can touch on this later, was the state forest, the push for state forest hunting of normal.
Roosters.
That's right. But I like that. So, but anyway, so I think, look, one of the main things I think I wanted to come and chat to you about, because I've just noticed it on the internet, Facebook especially, is state forest hunting. They're pushing for it up here in Queensland like they do have in Victoria.
Yep.
So, one, I wanted to get your thoughts on that, but I've been looking at all your stuff and your videos, I've been reading up on it and looking at how you perceive the management of deer in Queensland and how you and Judy look at how you can do it sustainably and over a period of time. So how did that kick off with you, mate?
For me, how it kicked off was basically I was born into a family that's believed in sustainable use of not just deer but all wildlife since the get-go, right from day one, and that's been from grandparents and parents right through. So it's not a brand new concept that's just been thrown on us. We believe in sustainable use of all our resources, whether it be timber, our water, our people. Things right down to our introduced species like the deer, wild pigs, whatever. Right, some of them are far more difficult to manage sustainably. I understand that than others, but that's where I think we've got to be smarter. We've got to work very smart. We've got to work together. We've got to have cooperation.
So how do you see deer hunting progressing? It's 2020. We've just had COVID, and so how do you see the sustainability of deer hunting when at the moment, and I didn't even know this, right? But there's deer on the coat of arms of Queensland, yet they're regarded as a feral pest in this state.
Yeah.
So I look at that, and I just don't understand where that comes from. How can it be on the coat of arms and yet be, put up as a feral animal for eradication?
Everybody's entitled to their own opinions, right? And that's if we've got a free country, you can have an opinion on it, and somebody else can have an opinion. You're not going to get shot over it, right? You have seen the countries where if you had a differing opinion, you're dead.
Yep.
So you've experienced that, and I respect where you've come from and your service. Everybody in this country can have a different opinion on how to manage things like wild deer or wild pigs and whatever. Some of them are more practical than others. Some are impossible. Some people have got literally pie in the sky ideas of how they can manage it. What we're trying to do is look at it and say, where are we in history? Where are we in time? What are the threats?
Yep.
What are the strengths?
Yep.
Like a SWOT analysis on it.
Yep.
How do we best use these animals? Can we manage them better than what we're doing? And that's what we've been trying to develop with the Ridge Group for 30 years now. And what you're seeing here, our Glenfiddich project, is like a case study on how we believe it can be done. I think, to answer your first question, I think we've got a really rocky road ahead of us for hunters. And our biggest threat is ourselves.
Yeah.
Within us, not all. I've got great faith in 95% of our people that use the bush, whether it be an angler or a four-wheel driver or a bushwalker, horse rider, whatever, a hunter. Literally, you don't have problems with 90% of the people.
Yeah, most people try and do the right thing.
Most people do, right? And then we've got great organisations out there, and I'll plug one now, ADA. I've had differences of opinions with ADA for many years, but it's not with the principle of them, of managing wild deer for the people forever in a sustainable manner, 100% behind them. But we've had problems with people, and that's where we've had to look at a different way of doing things, and our discussions with senior people in ADA across Australia recently have been fantastic. These people, I reckon, are on the right track. How we put that into practice in a state like Queensland, that's been the big test for us, and that's what we've been trying to develop.
So, being new to deer hunting, starting this year, I see that obviously, one way of going about it is, you go and introduce yourself to a landowner, or you already know a landowner. You go up and ask them, hey, I'd like to come on and hunt deer or pigs or whatever it is on the property. Once you have that circle of trust with that landowner, off you go, right?
Yep.
So there should be no problems there. Now, some landowners want a bit of a fee, and some don't. Yep. That's their prerogative, however that may be. And now I see, obviously there's a lot of poaching as well. I've heard and I've been reading about, people going onto properties and doing the wrong thing, and then that landowner being, for want of a better term, gun shy about hunters coming on his property because people are doing the wrong thing. Yep. I suppose hunting and poaching has been around since, there were cavemen. People doing the wrong thing in wrong parts of the world. So where do you see landowners in this talk in regards to state forest hunting and landowners, and allowing people who want to be able to hunt and or pay a fee or not pay a fee?
Right.
Big question, I know, mate.
Yeah,
sorry.
Big question. No, I'll try and explain it the best I can. Recently, you'd see people that have been attacking myself and other people, like we saw recently, MP Tony Perrott, our MP for Liberal National Party for the Gympie region, openly attacked for having a conflict of interest. A top man. This guy is probably, in my regard, one of the best people I know in politics in this country. Right? To be attacked like he was by hunters is just beyond belief.
Considering he's a massive advocate for hunting.
A massive advocate for it. Right, this is a guy that crossed the floor and voted against the national firearms legislation a while back. One of the only ones that actually stood up. Tony is a tremendous person. Right, he understands from horse riding to bushwalking, fishing. He's one of the keenest deer hunters around you'd see. He understands it. But also a landowner. What we're seeing is a huge hypocrisy here. There's a huge hypocrisy because some of the people that are there saying you landowners don't have this right and you don't have that right, like I'd like to buy them all a $10 casket ticket, right? And I hope you all win $10 million. Go and buy a piece of land yourself. You know, that's what I'd be saying to them. Go and buy that property. That property that you say that damn landowner won't let me on. Here's your casket ticket. I wish you luck. If you win $10 million, $20 million, go and buy that property. And then, if you're not a hypocrite, you'll let everybody on there for free to hunt the resource that you wanted to hunt yourself. And that's the thing. You'll see people that want to, for instance, say go fossicking, say gold fossicking on an area. Okay, if you bought that area, would they open it up and let everybody in there for free? I don't think so. They'd be the first ones to lock the gate. I've had people say to me, we should have the right to fish on any stream we want in Queensland, as we do in other states. And I can share their sentiment. But if you've got that, if you're looking in that landowner's back paddock off a hill and you look and say, look at that fantastic fishing hole down there, I'd love to get in there and fish, but that landowner won't let me in there and you're really cranky about it. Go and buy that property. Look after it. Pay the bills. You know, through a drought like this. You know, try and make it viable. And then, if you own it, you go and let everybody else in there for free.
Well, see, my analogy
That's
of that...
They're being hypocrites.
Yeah. My
That's what they mean.
analogy of that would be, you know, okay, so there's a person who owns a house in Melbourne.
Yep.
I get on a plane, I fly Brisbane to Melbourne. I just walk up to any owner of their own property, walk in the front door, go out the back, have a swim in their pool, then walk in, sit in the guy's chair, grab his remote for his TV, and turn it on.
If you call the cops on you.
Yeah. I'm
Straight
sure
on.
if he's, you know, if he's like any normal person in this world, he'd come straight out and go, "What the hell are you doing here? Swimming in my pool, watching my TV."
Yeah, just
Now-
smile and get off.
Yeah. So how can people just expect just to be able to go onto someone's private property and not ask permission?
It's a privilege to be allowed on somebody's. It's a privilege. You know, if you go to somebody's house and they invite you in, that's a privilege to be invited into somebody's house. A free, privately owned country, whether it be a house, a 5-acre block, or a 5,000-acre property or 50,000-acre property. So, right, the issue then, what we're seeing is people saying, well, the state forest is the land of the people, and I agree.
Yep.
It is the land of the people, right? Okay, but it's the land of all the people, not just the hunters.
Yep, good point.
Right?
Yep.
Not just the hunters. It's so right. If we're going to have, say, state forest hunting in Queensland, it's not just for the hunters to decide. It's the bloke that wants to ride a horse in there, ride a push bike, bushwalk, birdwatch, photography. Okay, it's the person four-wheel driving. It's the person that wants to fossick. It's the person that doesn't want anybody in there at all, that wants to lock it up and leave it in what they see as a pristine manner. All of those are people of not just this state. We've got people from New South Wales, Victoria. We're Australians of all nationalities, all come together to form this great country. So what we'd have to have is a referendum on it. We would need a vote on that right across Australia, whether...
And that's not just hunters, that's everyone.
Everybody's got a say in that.
Yeah.
Because if it's going to be funded by the state, if the state's going to put the money up to fund a system which allows all the different users to go in that state forest, it's got to be paid for out of taxes, out of the coffers.
Yeah.
And that means every person that pays taxes in this country has got to pay for it. So they've got a right to vote. And what I think would happen if we put a referendum there to say, do you want to allow hunters into state forest areas of Queensland?
Yeah, I think the majority of people who aren't shooters or hunters aren't going to be happy about that.
I think we'd be smashed. I think we'd be smashed. I think what the people are being at the moment that are calling for it and saying we've got a right, they're far more left of centre than what I am.
Yeah.
Right? I think that they're being hypocritical and they're being very entitled. And I reckon it's time for them to pull their heads in and have a really good look at this, because if it is the land of the people, which I agree with, it's all the people.
Mm-hmm. So I look at it, right, and I have a limited background in this, obviously. I've only just started this year. I look at it, first of all, just straight up and go, okay, wouldn't that be, it would be good to have access to state forest to do some hunting. Yep. And then the thing that comes to me is, okay, so how do you, you know, and I believe Australia is an over-regulated place as it is. You know, we've got too many laws and restrictions. Totally, you know, and like, not that I, you know, people want to put, you know, registrations on push bikes, and I'm just like, nah, we're not doing that. It's ridiculous, you know. You have to register, you know, my daughter's push bike, she's 10, you know, another push bike, she's 15, that sort of thing. But if people are going to be walking around with high-powered firearms and hunting deer in state forests, how do you do that safely when you've got, say, mountain bikers in there at the same time, or people bird watching, or families going in there for picnics?
Yep.
How do you regulate it? How do you make sure they're not just in there culling anything, rather than, you know, particularly choosing the right type of animal at the right time of year? That's the sort of issues that I look at it. You know, the safety issue first, and then the sustainability of it as well.
Right. This again is where I've seen a lot of the people that are pushing for state forest hunting, okay, which I'll openly say that I am for, right? I would be for state forest hunting.
Done correctly.
Done correctly, but it's got to be done correctly. And that's where, again, I'll say these people had a snipe at Tony Parrott. He's someone that actually is for more people getting into state forest, but he is wise enough to understand how difficult it is. So to get people in there, it is not just an easy thing. It's just not like, say, open the gate and in you go, right? To regulate, it's going to be expensive, right? Because there's 10% of people that won't do the right thing. 90% of people probably be easy to regulate. The deer, all our deer, our pigs, goats, whatever, are classed as pests in Queensland under the Biosecurity Act 2014. Okay, we tried to have some alternatives put into place, and there was, like, we've battled it for many years with our group, the Ridge Group. Yep. We've battled it, and we haven't been successful in getting much change at all. We have had a few wins on it. So if you're looking at it as a straight pest control, which a lot of them are saying that get us in there, I believe they've sold their soul. They have accepted deer and other species as filthy feral pests simply to gain access. So I could say that I won't go as far as to say they're liars, but I say they're stretching the truth.
Well, it's a short-term game. For really the long end of it is going to be there's going to be nothing left to hunt, because I think, looking at it now, just talking about it, if you class them as a pest, you say, yep, let us in there just because they're pests, then the government goes along with that and says, yep, they're pests, eradicate them. So where does that stop?
That's it. Well, really, that's what we're pushing for: sustainable management. I see it as a very fine line. You either have sustainable management or you have unsustainable management, right? It gets to a point where if you, say, taking more of a population out than is needed to be left behind to regenerate the population, well, they've got to go downhill to zero.
Yeah.
So there is a point where it's just sustainable, and then a little bit more, and it's unsustainable. And anything that side of the line, it is going towards eradication. So I say to people, are you for sustainable management, or are you for unsustainable management? If you're for sustainable management, you say, right, how do we do this so that population will be there forever? The attitude we're seeing is people saying we want them controlled. We want to reduce their populations to the lowest possible level.
Yeah.
Well, that means they want unsustainable management. They want, if possible, if it is possible in some way to eradicate a species, that is the desired outcome. So for hunters to be accepting that is either very hypocritical, or they are being literally, they're being deceitful.
Well, it's very short-sighted at the very least.
Very short-sighted at the least.
So,
well, thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe to our channel, and if you turn on your notification bell, you won't miss any more of our upcoming videos.